Hi, Simon here, GM8NYV, continuing with the CR100 renovation here. Still underneath the chassis, I haven't got any of the top components on apart from the IF can still. The coil pack I've eventually got back in, and I use that solid shaft and it seems to go in quite nicely and snugly there. So after that I wired up the mains filter, the mains plug here, where the mains comes in through the filter. I know the original had two big capacitors mounted on here over this side of the radio, but I'm using a modern filter and I'm switching both live and neutral. On the original it's only the live that's switched. So I've got two wires down here in this tube, runs around to the switch, which is here, double pole toggle switch, pushed in there, it fits in quite nicely, and then on backwards to the transformer here, the live and neutral. I've got this tag strip on, make it easier to wire up, and also takes the strain off the old wires that were connected inside the transformer. Right, what I want to do next is do some resistance checks. Now the resistance checks I'm going to do are the recommended ones in the manual here. I'm not sure that shows up on here. Some of them I won't be able to do because the coil pack has resistors that this is measuring, and I need to earth the wires that go through to the capacitor, the big variable capacitor. And the big variable capacitor isn't on, so some of these resistors, well, I noticed, were not measuring properly, and then I realised the actual resistors are inside the coil packs, and the coil packs aren't completely wired up. They're wired up on the internals here. Oops, right, hard to see, it's getting very crowded in there. So these are the coil pack wires. They're all wired to the appropriate place. The two that go through the bottom, that go to the variable capacitor, the black one that is going to go to earth. That one would earth one of the resistors that this check is measuring. So I can do most of them apart from that one there. So I'll just do a couple. Right, I've set up the meter. Looking at the charts here, we have the valve listed. I'm not sure if it shows on this camera. Valve 1 to valve 10, and down here are pin 3, pin 4, pin 5, etc. And the first part is to measure from the HT to pin 3, pin 4, pin 5 on every one of the valves. So this is going on down the HT line, which is this one here. This comes from the chokes and the main capacitor. That should be close to 0, 1 ohm anyway. So to pin 3 valve 1, there's a capacitor charge on. Once it charges up, we'll get a reading here. 2.19, good connection. 2.19 kilo ohms. It's supposed to be 2.2, so within 20%. And I'm using closer tolerance resistor, so that's not too bad. Right, the next pin was HT to pin 4 valve 1, which is 2, 3, 4. Now this should settle out at 14.7 kilo ohms. Get a proper connection. So they are 14.62. So I'll continue that all the way through, and then the next check after that is to do it to the ground. And after I've done all these resistance checks, I'm going to do insulation check on the transformer. Right, this is my Mega. It's made by Evershed and Vignals, quite an old one. I like the old Bakelite, it's a nice plastic, and it's come up quite shiny, this one. I'm not sure it's going to show up on the camera, the actual readings there, but basically it's not electronic, you just turn the handle to generate your voltage. Now I've got this cable here connected up to the bolt on the filter. That's my earth. This one here I should connect up to the live side of this IEC socket, if I can make it from there. That is, and hopefully we have a good resistance to ground, a high resistance, infinity I'm looking for. Now I'm not sure I'm going to be able to see that reading in this cam. I'll zoom in a bit. Turn the lights off. Standing away the light. Okay. The needle is just moving off the infinity. Now just to prove it works, I connect this to the ground. That's a short, and the needle should deflect to 0 ohms. Which it does, so I'm quite happy with that. I'll try it on the neutral side. Again, a high resistance. So that's the filter to the switch. Now I'll switch the switch on. It's now putting the transformer in circuit. So one side I'm on the neutral to the ground. Still reading infinity. And on the live side to ground. Just a small movement on the needle, and so I'm quite happy with that. Right, what I'm going to do next is probably power it up through a variac and bring the voltage up slowly and measure the voltage coming off the secondary, the primary and then the secondary of the transformer. Okay, I'm not sure how clear that's going to be. This is my variac. It's connected to the mains here, coming in. On this one here. The output on this here is switched, and it goes to the radio there. So that's down 0. This is connected to the EHT or HT output of the secondary winding, high voltage winding. Right, I'll switch it on. Set to 0. It's got 2.5 volts already. I'll start to turn this up. So far so good. 46 volts. This is, don't forget, it's 300/0300. That's about 50 volts going in. That's producing 132 volts across the secondary. Take it up to about 100 volts. Right, that's the mains now going in at 100 volts, and we're getting 265. So it looks like it's going up quite linearly. And I'll increase it up now to around about 200 volts. We're getting 400 on the secondary side. Don't forget it's 300/0300, and I'm measuring it directly right across the secondary, so we're going to probably go up to about 600. So no funny noises yet, no smoke yet, so let's continue. And we'll get up to 240 volts going in. That's the 4 mains in now, just on 240 volts. And we're getting 585 volts on the secondary, which is not bad for an 80-year-old transformer. The insulation, when I tested it, was okay. I'm quite happy with that. I'm not sure if you can see the voltage on the meter. I think so, 582 volts there. What I'll do now, I'm going to take the voltage down again, and I'm going to plug in the rectifier valve and measure the DC. There's my rectifier, 5U4G. I'll put that in and we'll see how the DC side works. Right, I'll try and get the valve in. Right, that's the valve in, the rectifier valve. Okay, now I've got my meter connected one side to ground and the other one onto the EHT, or the HT, from the smoothing chokes and the capacitor there. Switch the meter to DC, switch the radio on, put my power back on. I'll start to turn the voltage up. Now it might take a while for the heaters to warm up and let the rectifier start working. So I'll take the voltage up slowly to about 100 volts. Heaters won't be full, but we should get something there. So this is AC mains going on, about 50 volts there. I'm not measuring the heater voltage, by the way. There's the voltage going up now. There, it's about 100 volts there. And the voltage is slowly coming up as the heaters are starting to warm up in the rectifier. Let's see what it stables at. It steadies up at. Interesting. The mode switch, by the way, is in the off position, so it's just measuring the HT coming off the rectifier. Okay, that's at 100 volts, we're getting 62 volts out. Go up slowly. There's our DC climbing now. Right, I'm just checking round here. There's nothing. Seems to be heating up. Bear in mind that is in the 0 volt position, or the off position. And I'll take it up to the 240 volts input. So there we go, 240 volts in. We've got 362 volts DC coming from the rectifier in this smoothing. Right, I think that'll do for now, and I'm going to check. Switch on the mode switch and check the voltages around certain points. Okay, thanks for watching and hope to see you next time.